And this is episode 2 of Baylee's podcast. Now, back in...
Well, that's Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Troy.
And back in November 11th of 2024, I was running around my my neighborhood, kind of around the block, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I saw a white teenager wearing a gray hoodie, all zipped up. And it wasn't cold. It was November, but it wasn't cold.
Right.
He had his the strings his hoodie pulled all the way, covering his face to the point where you could only see his nose. And while I was running, I saw him. There's where this subdivision is. There's a tree line. And beyond that tree line is a bunch of woods. So
it's just BFE, basically.
Dense woods. Woods. And if you go deep into these woods, you will come across a train track. And I didn't know this at the time. I found this out later. But this teenager, and I'll get to what he did in a second, but what he was doing was at nighttime, like I said, this was after midnight, so he walks the train track in the middle of these woods and pokes out to different subdivisions along this tree line.
Mm.
And he will look in cars, or he will check cars. He will check them to see if they're unlocked, and a lot of them are unlocked. You'll be surprised at how many car doors are unlocked.
Seriously?
I mean,
so it's a decent neighborhood then.
Yeah.
If you can...
And let's see. He if you go to like a parking lot, or like let's say you go to Walmart, you check doors. You'll still be surprised at how many doors are unlocked. I've never tried it.
Right.
Let the record show. I've never tried it. But
Right. We're just
people do leave car doors unlocked. But that figure more than doubles when somebody parks their car at their house. They think, oh, it's at my house. I don't need to lock it. So he pokes out of the tree line. He checks doors. Everybody's asleep, so he's grabbing whatever he can, money, this, that. He's grabbing anything that he could probably pawn. And then if anybody turns a light on, or if a cop shows up, he'll probably hide, and then he can just book it into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gone. He's out. He's out of there quick. He can get back on that track, and he can head the other direction, poke out to a totally different subdivision. Mm-hmm. And do the same thing, and then it's pretty much.
So he's pretty much methodical with it. Like he's got it.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect game of cat and mouse.
Right.
A perfect game of cat and mouse. Now, while I was running, I saw him. I thought I was hallucinating, because it was weird. Like this was 1 a.m. I didn't expect to see anybody, so I see him going into the woods. It was dark. I don't know why anyone would want to go in those woods at that time.
And you thought you were tripping.
Yeah. But I did see him again when I stopped the run. I paused it, and then I started walking toward where my parents lived, and I saw him cross the street over to a house, and he approaches a car with his hoodie zip pulled all the way up, closed, looking in it all suspicious, just peeking in the window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this guy's up to no good. This motherfucker is up to no good.
Yeah.
And I went to get some water. I went back to finish the run, and all this time I was seeing cops drive by, but it wasn't until I put 2 and 2 together that I realized I knew who they were looking for.
Yeah, but they was about to fuck with you though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They I knew who they were looking for, and I stopped running when this officer pulled up after I had already seen this guy.
Should have kept going, bro. Just a little.
No. He would have put his. I've actually had a cop where I live, like in a different place. I was running. I like to run at night. It's a lot cool. It's a lot cooler. A cop had. They have these lights. They have these lights on their. They have lights. I've seen it before. Right on the side of their, like where their mirror is, and they just shine.
That dome, like that. That dome looking light?
It's a spotlight.
Okay, yeah.
And they shine it to the side, like scanning.
Right.
Scanning to see anybody who's hiding.
Right.
I've been just minding my own business once, and a cop was just like a little bit away, and as soon as he sees me, I'm minding my own business. It was daylight, like outside of my apartment.
Yeah.
He goes to the donut shop right there. He parks. He sees me, puts his lights on. Who's that? They're just always scanning for someone. Like,
yeah.
They just want something to do. But yeah, if I would have kept running, he would have put his light. He would have tried to stop me. I had a cop stop me. And say, hey, like where I lived. Hey, why are you running? I was like, oh, I'm just exercising.
Right.
And then he asked me, did you hear any gunshots? And I said, I don't think I did. No, I didn't hear any. I told him no.
That's
I didn't hear any.
Question to ask.
Yeah, I think he was. He got a call about gunshots, and he stopped.
Yeah.
That wasn't a situation where I had gotten detained, but when this cop had stopped while I was finishing up my run, he asked me questions. He then read me my rights. I didn't notice until later, but once a cop reads you your rights, they're pretty sure they're going to arrest you.
Yeah, it's over with.
But it was just a detain. 3 other officers showed up, and one of them had ended up cuffing me and detaining me.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. You look really aggressive, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't mad. I wasn't resisting.
Right.
I knew. At the end of the day, my watch is always my best alibi. Because I got an Apple Watch that records my run, and it was at 15.15 miles at that point. And the best evidence that had exonerated me, I guess that's the word, that had at the end of it, it didn't take long, probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes before they uncuffed me and said, we were looking for someone that had broken into an SUV, and what had happened is one of the doorbell camera had caught me running past while
the fucker was there.
The fucker was digging in at the same time. The fucker was digging inside it, rifling.
You were his fucking his savior. You saved his ass.
I did.
Hell yeah, you saved his ass.
I did, because then he after he saw the cops questioning me, he went in the woods, and he went deep in those woods.
Yeah. You didn't fucking thank you or anything either, did you? That son of a bitch.
This happened November 11th. So this guy who had the perfect plan, I'm gonna just walk through the woods, poke out different subdivisions, rifle through cars, and if anything happens, I'm gonna go back in the woods and disappear. And he hasn't been caught, as far as I know. He's still at it, and the last time he struck that same subdivision was sometime in February or March. So,
and you put the drone on his ass.
Oh yeah, drone. Better yet, put dogs.
Oh,
those dogs. If they, all you have to do is, well, I was on the phone with an officer trying to get the footage, and he told me that in order to catch him, they need to wait for him to strike again, and hope he leaves something behind. So, and he is like,
I don't think he'll do that. He sounds too.
No. He needs to make a mistake. Unless he makes a mistake, they're not going to catch him.
And usually, dude, when shit like that happens, the person knows the area pretty good. So either he knows somebody in that area, or either that, or he mapped it out pretty good. I don't know. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the second time I've gotten detained, being in the wrong place, wrong time. But I was more nervous the first time. This time when I had gotten cuffed because I was running in the wrong place, wrong time, I was actually a little. It was because it was the second time. I wasn't so nervous. I was like, okay, I'll just talk.
I didn't see any worry in your face until like when they got you out so the lady could identify you or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's when you was like a deer in headlights. You was like,
yes. The woman whose truck was broken into.
Yeah.
She mostly her husband has seen me run in that neighborhood all the time. So they know, okay, there's a guy who jogs here all the time.
Right.
So that woman who owns the vehicle, she went to go and identify me. So the officer, okay, step out of the vehicle, walk over to the front, and then she looks at me. She says, "Yeah, that's him. That's the guy who runs all the time." And of course, I was wearing jogging pants and no shirt. This teenager was wearing I don't know what pants he was wearing, but he was wearing a gray hoodie, closed all the way up. So
right,
and this was all on door cam footage. So I was off the hook.
Right,
I was off the hook.
Do you notice that? Like, let me ask you if you've noticed it in that situation or any other previous situations. That so the cops are detaining you or whatever, trying to find out what's going on, and then they try to, if they can't find out what's going on, then they try to nitpick and try to just come up with something. Like, have you ever noticed that?
I know. I don't know how common it is, or if it's something that is less common now than it used to be, but cops have, especially detectives trying to solve a crime, like they get. I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but there could be an instance where. No, there has been instances where someone who is in an interrogation room for hours and hours and hours, mm-hmm. and these two cops try to break him. They try to break him. They say, okay, we have nothing. Think about it. They're trying to get paid. They're also trying to go home.
Right.
So their goal is, when you have the system has evolved into a situation where these cops have a goal: find the guy who did it. Now, the best, if they have no evidence whatsoever, they have this suspect, they have nothing tying him to the crime, they have no evidence, or they have very little from the crime that they can go and try and work with.
Right.
So the best thing that an interrogator or detective can get, hands down, is a confession.
Right.
Unless they find some smoking gun or anything that's like, boom, there it is. The next best thing, or the best thing, is a confession. So they take somebody, he's probably innocent, they don't care. They're gonna interrogate him for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours until they get a confession.
Yeah.
Once they get the confession, it doesn't matter if he's innocent. They got the confession.
Right.
He's done.
Yeah, I've actually seen shit where they would be pressing somebody so hard that the dude, being innocent, would just be like, all right, fine.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they know the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
The psychology behind it is, if you continue to tell someone, let's say I continue to tell, if I tell you you're guilty of this, and you're like, no.
Right.
Like right from start, you're like, no, I know I didn't do it. But repeat that for hours and hours and hours and hours. Eventually, not only, it's weird, it's hard to explain and hard to imagine yourself admitting to something you didn't do, but eventually they tell you did it so many times that eventually you actually believe you did it.
Right. Like,
you start to think, yeah, I did it, and then you confess and you say you did it.
Right. Isn't that crazy, dude?
That is a real psychological phenomenon. But what's also common, probably half the time, is someone who is innocent will confess just to get it over with.
Yeah.
Just to get out of there.
Yeah, I've seen that
I'll tell
too.
you what you want. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah. I've seen that too. A lot of that on some of that true crime stuff, dude. Like, you could sit there and did you see, this might be jumping subjects a little bit, but did you see the one where they was in there interrogating this little dude and they couldn't get nothing out of him, whatever he was acting days? He'd actually gotten shot in the head. Mm-hmm. And they were pressing him until one of the detectives came in and finally noticed, like, dude was shot in the head. Did you ever see that?
I think tell it again. Tell the whole thing.
So
I've heard about that.
So this dude and his girlfriend, they got their apartment broken into or something, and I think his girlfriend got killed or whatever. They went to rob him or something, and they ended up shooting him in the head. So they was trying to kill him too. Well, when the cops came, he was just like, they thought he was just asleep on the couch. Well, he ended up getting shot in the head, but he could walk, talk like me and you, like. But he just kept saying, I got a bad headache. It's on video. It's really wicked, dude. It's really wicked.
I've heard this before, but I completely forgot about it. Like,
I don't remember the little dude's name, but he was a youngster. He was a little young dude. But the whole time they were sitting there pressing him, man had a bullet in his head.
Yeah, he was shot, and then his girlfriend. You said his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, his girlfriend was killed.
She was dead.
Yeah, she was dead.
So this guy, and I think if I remember correctly, he was wandering around his apartment for like days and days and days.
Yeah,
not knowing what to like a zombie.
Yeah,
because of the bullet.
Because of the bullet in his head. Yeah.
His girlfriend was there, dead.
Yeah.
He was just wandering around in a daze.
Insane. So when the cops got him, because they were for sure he did it. He killed her and this and that, because it didn't make sense.
I think when they were interrogating him, he was saying a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense. Like he was talking like, how some homeless people, like that woman. You remember that black woman that she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
That if a bullet in the head doesn't kill you, it's gonna make you crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna.
If it doesn't kill you, it's either gonna make you crazy, or you're
special.
or you're gonna have what's it called? Memory issues.
Right.
Did he eventually pass away?
I don't know. I think he did, but I think it was some years after that issue.
Yeah, it was a while later, but eventually he did pass away.
Yeah.
I think it was from
complications,
because he was having a lot of seizures after that.
Yeah, it just blew my mind how these, because this dude had a black eye and everything. It was just amazing how the cops were sitting there pressing him, and like, just look at the dude. You could tell.
But think about it from the cops' perspective. They're hungry. They're ready to go home.
Yeah.
They're ready to get paid. And who cares if he's innocent? Just,
This is true.
Fuck it.
This is true.
I'm being sarcastic, but that's the way they
that's
think.
how it is.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, man. But it took that one detective to come in, and he was like, stand up. Mm-hmm. He looked at his head, bro, and he was like the detective was like, oh my God, man, this kid has been shot in the head.
Yeah, at that point, he was shot, his girlfriend was shot, but for some reason, some way or another, he survived a gunshot to the head, which means that it was somebody else who broke in, I guess, to rob the place or something.
Right.
I'm gonna have to go back and brush up on that story. But yeah. Hey, did you hear that? They are the Mint, the U.S. Mint.
Mm-hmm.
They're making pennies for. They already have pennies for 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're making 2026, and that's gonna be it.
Oh, really?
You hear about that?
No, I didn't know they were. I didn't know that was it. Damn. So they did stop.
Yeah.
Pennies are about to be a commodity.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's going to be a big phase out. And I've seen a lot of information about it. In fact, just earlier today, the US Mint has I heard they had just received, or they have bought blank penny planchets.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be the last ones.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they're going to mint on those planchets. It's going to be a 2026 batch. I guess Denver and Philadelphia, maybe some proofs from San Francisco.
Oh, they got some West Points now. Pennies.
I saw those. Those are.
I'd love to get my hands on some of those, dude.
I forget what year.
I think it's 25. I want to say
2025 West Point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gotta look those up.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, dude.
But yeah, here's what I heard about it. So they bought the planchets for the last time. They're gonna mint on those, and those are gonna be the end of it. 'A penny is, after 82, 'a penny is 1 cent. 1 cent 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 is 1 c they went away with copper and started using zinc,
Right.
or a zinc, bronze, nickel.
Yeah, well, yeah,
mix or
it
something
was
like that.
they went to from 95% copper to 95% zinc in 1982.
Yeah, 1982.
Yeah.
And let's see now, and you know, zinc, just like copper, just like gold, just like platinum and silver, the price goes up, it goes down. Zinc went up, but a penny is still worth a penny. It stays
Right.
worth what it is.
Well, technically, they say that if any copper penny is actually worth 2 cents. Now I don't know if you'd have to, because
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean you can't just go up and be like, yeah, here's a penny, but it's actually 2 cents.
No,
It don't
no.
work like that, you know?
It oddly enough, it doesn't work like
So I
that.
think it's probably melt value, you know.
Yeah, yeah. If you melt a, which isn't, it's not legal, but just
No, it's not.
do it in your backyard. Melt it in your backyard. Don't tell anybody. But if you let's see, if you melt pennies before 1982, then each penny is going to be worth 2 cents. So if
Yeah.
you melt 100 of them, that's 200 cents. So that's
But
$2.
But basically, what that does though, like when you smelt it down, you're going. It's gonna, it'll no longer be cents. It'll be like it'll go by weight then. So, if copper is let's say it's $3.25 per pound.
You're still going to make more than the face value you put into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The U.S. Mint, it cost the U.S. Mint, what was it? I think it's 4 cents to make 1 penny.
Really?
Yep. 1 cent, 1 penny cost 4 cents. But, which they tried to do away with the penny, or they started talking about it in 1986. So I'm wondering, I don't know the economic angle that they kept holding on to keep the penny.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump finally, and it's been talked for years and decades and decades and decades, but Donald Trump has finally said, you know what, we're going to do away with it. It's going to be the last ones. And once you do away with a coin, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Canada did away with their penny in 2012. In fact, if you
Really?
yeah, no Canadian penny after 2012. So there's no 2013 on up for Canada. But do you know how much it cost for the U.S. Mint to make a nickel?
No.
14 cents.
What the fuck?
Yeah. They're probably going to do away with that too. But they're already trying. It's going to be hard to phase out 2 coins. So
yeah.
here's why it's so. It's not going to be hard, but it's going to be a long phase out.
Right. It's definitely going to be a process.
I've heard that we're going to. It's going to be a rounding. So prices are going to start by staying the same. So if it's let's say it's $9.96, $9.96. Well, then it's going to be rounded down to $9.95. But if it's $9.98, it's going to be rounded up to $10. So I don't know if that rounding system is going to stick around. I doubt it. I think eventually everything is going to end in either a 5 or a 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to think about it like this, they're making pennies. They're currently going to start making more pennies just to not make any more.
Right.
So pennies, there's like, what's the point of making? What is the point of minting more pennies if we're still going to use them, or if we're not going to use them?
Exactly.
But we are going to still use them, so it wouldn't make any sense to do that rounding system.
Yeah, and it don't make any sense to phase out. I mean, I don't know. I guess they have their reasons or whatever. But
yeah. But I also heard, I don't know how they come up with this. Tell me what you think of this. Someone did the math and said that doing away with the pennies is going to save the United States $1 billion and in lost productivity because of this one variable. Listen, over 1 million people a day, or I don't know if it's done by a day or whatever, but 1 million people go up to the register and drop coins. You know, they're digging in their pockets. Okay, here's a quarter, here's a nickel, and if they do away with the penny, it's gonna save more time with customers fumbling with their change.
Right.
And that's gonna save the United States $1 billion just in the time.
Honestly, I don't.
I don't know how they come up with that.
I don't either, bro. But they come up with some wild shit, man.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, but it don't have to make sense to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it only has to make sense to them, and they tell us whatever the fuck it is they want us to believe, and then that's that. You know.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what? It doesn't bother me. Does it bother you that they're doing away with the penny?
No. I think it's kind of cool because it's gonna, you know, make what we do more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, because you now all these pennies are gonna be shit. You can't get them anymore.
Yeah. For those listening, we collect coins. I don't know if we collect coins like...
We're in the numismatic world.
Yes, numismatics. Yeah. I love proof coins, reverse proof.
Yes.
All different kinds of mint errors. In fact, PCGS is still looking at my mint errors.
Really?
Yeah, they sent the West Point quarters already. And that was quick. They did not take long to do that. But they're still looking at, I think, 7 mint errors that I have.
I definitely have to get back into it, man. I miss it. I definitely miss it.
Yeah.
But it'll happen again.
Yeah.
I'm just glad the coins I had are with somebody that that appreciates them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still got them in my closet. Yeah. But in the last episode, you were talking about a guy named Gravy.
Yeah.
And you had said that you didn't tell the story, but you said he broke his collarbone.
Oh yeah. We can float to that real quick, man. So we was in our dorm. This is B dorm in Marksville. It was Class A trustees, and so there was never any fighting or anything like that in there, bro. Well, it got heated sometimes, but there was never really any brawls. Well, this particular day, the warden's boy, Vic, ended up tangling up with this other dude, and they got to throwing hands, and Gravy came in there, tried to break him up, which was stupid. He couldn't even hardly walk. And he got caught up behind them, and their momentum was shifting toward the door, and it was all steel and plexiglass. And he got pinned up behind them. It was like two guys, 250 pounds each.
Whoa! So
about 1,000. I mean, not about 1,000. About 500-600 pounds rolled into this dude and crushed him between the steel. It was just him, and you could hear his collarbone snap. Snap. I mean, like a stick. And all he was doing, bro, he was like, that hurt. I don't know what happened to me.
That sounds like
I'm sorry.
That impression makes it sound like it didn't hurt as bad. But I think if that was his impression,
that's the only way, because that's how he talks.
If he didn't have adrenaline running through him, he would have been. It would have felt worse at that moment. But it caught. Have you ever hurt yourself, and you're seriously hurt, but you don't feel it at the moment? Yes
and no. But yeah, I have felt that.
Yeah. What happened after that?
Huh?
What happened?
He ended up going to the hospital, and I don't know. It was just he went to the hospital and came back to work with this little arm all prettied up or whatever you want to call it, and nobody got in trouble with that. One dude got kicked out of the dorm, obviously, but other than that, like, nobody got charged or anything. And this is supposed to be a correctional officer that got hurt. I'm gonna have to show you this dude one day. We're gonna have to go to Walgreens and check him out.
Didn't you say he is a few sandwiches short of a picnic?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
He's a manager?
No, he's just a worker. I don't even know how he. I don't know how he pulled that. I don't know how he got that job. That's funny, bro. So, hey, bro, have you ever seen a train derail?
No.
Like a real train, like an Amtrak or whatever the other one is, get derailed.
I've seen aftermath footage that they covered on like I think a train had derailed in Spain back I think a decade ago.
Really?
So have you seen one?
I have. Like 1985, 1986. Well, I lived in Nolanville, Texas. And, bro, I didn't actually see the train derailment itself. But I remember going out to play one day, and I would always go down by the tracks. And there were 20 of the train cars just tipped over on the track. And it was a massive mess. There was it wasn't a passenger train, just it had commodities on it. Like, it was a ship, had shipments of stuff on it. And, yeah, dude, it took them, God, it seems like forever to clean this up. Well, I just looked on my phone, bro, and there were multiple trains that had derailed in Nolanville, Texas. I just noticed that tonight. There was like, well, I can't find the most particular one, but oh man, I gotta go for you. So I'm from Temple, Texas. Temple, Belton, Waco, all that shit. It's all right there together. Mm-hmm. And there's the McLean. There's a company called McLean, and the owners, they had a mansion like where I walked to school. Like I'd walk to elementary school, and there would be this big, huge mansion, like on my way to school, and I'd just always go around it or whatever. But it was the mansion had this black wrought iron fence all the way around it with spikes on it. Well, from what I understand, this kid was outside playing ball. He was on the outside of the property, so the ball they were playing with, they kicked it over the fence, and he didn't go to the gate or ask them if he can go get it or anything. He decided to climb the fence and retrieve his ball. Well, when he did, he ended up slipping. And the way he slipped, and mind you, this picture was on the front page of the Temple Daily Telegram. Mm-hmm. He slipped and the wrought iron punctured his throat and came out of his mouth. Okay? This is a little kid, man. Couldn't have been 6, 8, 9, 10, something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah. So he had slipped and he lived. The crazy thing is, but anyway, so he slipped and the spike of the tip of the fence went in his throat and out of his mouth. So he's just hanging there. And Temple Daily, the Temple Press, they got a picture and they put it on the fucking front page of the newspaper, bro.
What the fuck?
Yes. I'm going to have to, I've tried to find it before and I never could. Well, anyway, so I guess the way they cut him out, it wouldn't hit this kid's time, whatever, however you want to put it. Mm-hmm. But this kid, the way it punctured his throat and came out of his mouth, it was so perfect where all they had to do, whatever, was cut it out and then fix his, Yeah, dude.
I could imagine it didn't puncture anything. So, right underneath your chin where your neck starts, imagine you fall, like your chin first onto a spike, and that spike were to puncture up through the bottom of your mouth, out past your tongue. That's like some Vlad the Impaler type shit.
Actually, it punctured his esophagus.
It did puncture his esophagus.
Yes, it punctured his esophagus and came out of his mouth. Like,
Shit.
yeah, bro. I'll be able to find this picture. I mean, there's got to be an archives of it somewhere or something like that on. There's got to be.
I wouldn't worry about it. I don't think you'll find it. I mean, you're talking 1986.
Just 86. No, I want to say this was more 87, 88.
But still, I mean, I'm surprised that this picture would be put in the.
Well, this was back. I mean, it's things back then weren't like they were today. You know, they post some fucked up shit in the newspaper. But I'm still to this day kind of tripping about how, you know, they put. I mean, how would they do that?
So tell me, so this kid gets punctured in the neck. He falls onto a spike and it hits him in the neck, out his mouth.
Yeah,
and he's impaled.
He's just hanging there.
Hanging there, and then someone takes a picture. Okay, so police and detectives, homicide detectives, they see this all the time. They take pictures, and it gets passed around the network.
Yeah.
But this type of imagery, doesn't really go out into the public because it's disturbing.
No,
so
it'll fuck you up.
Yeah, that's some disturbing imagery to see. So how did the public react to this being back in the 80s? I don't know.
Me being so young, this is gonna be a first for us. I'm gonna try something real quick. I'm gonna see if it. So I'm about to call my mom, see if my mom remembers this, and I don't know what kind of reaction the public got. Let's see if let's hope she answers, y'all.
You were born in 79, right?
I was born in 80.
80.
Yeah. What you're not answering? Crap.
Do you know what time she usually goes to bed?
Usually it's late. But yeah, like we'll see what happens with her. But I wanted to find out, well, like what kind of reaction, because mine, like when I see in the paper, I'm like, Mom, what happened to that kid? And like, I knew where it was. I knew the area. But it was insane. It was like a close-up picture of this, bro.
You said the company is McLean.
Yeah.
I see trucks.
Trucking companies. That's it.
McLean.
Yeah. It has the weird little triangle.
Oh yeah, I see
black and red.
Yeah, I see it delivered to. Okay, so it's not. It's Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, and I think even Wendy's. But this McLean company, is it a trucking company or a supply company?
It's a trucking. I mean, I'm probably sure they do more than that, but.
But they have nothing to do with supplies, like restaurant supplies, do they?
I don't know what all they dabble into.
Because I've always thought McLean was food supply company that supplied for.
No, I think because there was a lot of like factories and shit in Temple, so it was a different thing. I'm pretty sure they dabble into everything, but I'm not really.
I've seen some disturbing some stuff. Have you seen some disturbing videos that it's always morbid curiosity that gets the best of a lot of us. Even myself, when I was younger, I would get too curious and I would go on the internet. You know, the internet. If you go into some places, there is some shit, some fucked up shit that you can see.
Yes.
When I was a teenager, one thing that the first time I ever heard of anything that you could watch that would shock you, it's called shocking content. That it would you watch, it's a video or maybe sometimes a picture that would make you, that you just don't see every day. Something that would make you. It could be gory, but the first thing that I've heard about that you could, and I couldn't find it until like years later. But it was called 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Oh.
Have you seen that?
Okay, so I haven't actually. I started watching it. But.
Starts off good.
Yeah, it starts off real well.
Yeah, everyone would agree. It starts off fine.
So there was actually a website I would get on when I was younger. It's called Rotten.com. I don't know if you ever heard of this. This is not a plug for Rotten. by the way. It's not a plug. But it was a site that I used to get on where they would have the most morbid, and I don't know why I looked at this shit, dude.
It was a gory shit.
Yeah. Major, and see, I like me, like okay, so I'm terrified of death. Like I'm absolutely, like it terrifies me. So, and I watch all this stuff that has to do with death I don't know, dude. I'm not gonna say it like calms me down calms my fears down, but it does something to where, okay, well, look, it ain't me, or I can't explain it, dude. It's weird, but I have a couple major fears. One of them being that, another one, hair.
Hair, yeah.
Yeah, death, hair, and spiders are probably my top 3 fears, man.
Yeah, well, death only scares me if I have an anxiety attack. I actually looked it up. I have self-diagnosed. It's not really diagnosed, but
Right.
I looked up my symptoms, and according to the internet, I have something called somatic anxiety disorder.
Uh-huh.
It happens if I have a bad reaction to caffeine, or if I eat something that doesn't sit right with my stomach, or both. Now, back in April, I had this twice, with a day in between. So it wasn't 2 days in a row. It was one day, and then a day later, and then 2 days later. So it was one day, and then 2 days later, I had eaten, and I'll say the restaurant right here on this podcast. It's Checkers.
Okay.
I think I told you about this. Did I tell you?
Yeah.
I've eaten at Checkers, and it's been years since I've eaten at Checkers at this point. So I go over there, and let me give them a try. Let me see how they...
Right.
It didn't... Here's the thing. This food did not make me sick. I've been really sick before. In fact, I've eaten something back in 2022 that gave me food poisoning. It was something from the frozen section.
Right.
Some TV dinner from the frozen section that gave me food poisoning, and that was really sick. But there is a type of unsettling. It's not like, okay, I wasn't food poisoning, but it's almost worse than food poisoning, because your gut communicates with your brain. Like the brain gut, I don't know if you know this, but your gut is like your second brain. So if something's wrong with your gut, your brain's gonna freak out. And it's gonna cause the fight or flight. You're gonna go into fight or flight.
Right.
And that's what happened. I had Checkers mixed with an iced coffee from McDonald's. The good news is, if I ever go into a panic episode, it doesn't last more than 2 hours.
Right.
So that's what if I ever feel myself going into an episode, I look at, okay, I have till 2 hours.
But that's a long time, though, dude. Like,
no, if I'm panicking like that, the 2 hours, I know it sounds like it takes forever, but it really doesn't.
Really?
It really doesn't, because the 2 hours, even if I'm in the middle of an episode, I'll because it goes up and down. It goes up and down. Like,
right.
I'll calm down, and then it'll get bad again, and I'll calm down, it'll get bad again, and throughout the whole episode, it's like, okay, 2 hours is up. And
well, what do you do to combat this? Like, what do you like?
Okay.
Do you call somebody or?
No. Here's what happened. I ate Checkers, and then I had an iced coffee, and then I felt like something was wrong. I get up. I'm just chilling at the end of the day, watching YouTube or something, and then I can't sit still. Something's wrong. My arm crawls, my neck crawls.
Oh no!
And I feel claustrophobic. So I'm like, okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get out of my house, and I'm gonna go walk. This particular day, which I think it was April 17th. Was it April 17th? It has to be April 17th. Or no, it was sometime between April 15th and April 24th.
This year?
Yes.
Okay.
And I leave my house at 3 in the morning, and I go walk. and I go walk, and I go walk, and I go walk, and I don't even put any earbuds in or anything. I just walk, and it's just my thoughts, and everything is fine. Everything. I mean, I'm having an episode. I'm dealing with it. It is what it is. I know deep down inside nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. But something feels wrong. That's the thing. When your limbic system goes haywire like that, you're gonna feel like something's off. But you got to keep telling yourself you're fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. I know. For those listening, if you have anxiety like this, or if you experience it, things that help me is mobile games. Or even well, I had anxiety once and I was playing Call of Duty. That didn't help. But if you put on some silly mobile game like Candy Crush or Angry Birds or something like that, then that'll distract you. One thing that distracts me from anxiety, especially if I'm driving, is I'll just look at numbers on the signs and I'll just do math, simple math. But at 3 a.m, I was walking, and I didn't stop walking until 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. That's when I yawned for the first time. So most of the time, my anxiety goes away if I ever start feeling tired, or after 2 hours. Which that was the first time I noticed that it doesn't last more than 2 hours. But yeah, if I'm having an episode like that, I will worry about dying. But most of the time, I don't. The only thing that worries me about dying is dying young. Right. But as far as death goes, I think, especially when I think about anxiety, like I don't think you could only be afraid of death when you're not dead. Like think about people who are dead right now. They can't. They're not afraid of it. They don't even know that. Right. Unless you believe in spirits, which I don't know. I've never experienced that. That just goes into a whole paranormal topic right there. But no, I'm not. I used to be afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of dying.
Yeah, this was a man, it just messed me up. So when I was a kid, it started. I don't know. I guess I was about 4 or 5 years old, man, and it hasn't gotten any better. It's just I don't know. It's just how you get different folks, different strokes, shit like that, and it's just that just happens to be one of my things.
Eventually, I did find the 2 Girls 1 Cup video. It didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It didn't bother me. I mean, it's one of those shit fetish videos.
Yeah.
And of course, it's got puke in it. That's a whole nother ball game right there.
Yeah.
But there's videos like that all over where it's like these weird fetish videos. But that is, to me, that is nothing compared to the violent videos that you can find online.
So there was a site, Rotten.com, mm-hmm. and it would show videos of like the Zeta decapitating people and like soldiers getting their head cut off, like violent shit.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those videos.
Yeah, do you remember?
A long time ago. I don't want to see those videos now.
Yeah, I don't either.
I was too cocky back then.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't know why I watched them, but every now and then something will come across. Remember that kid that just recently died in Florida? He got on a ride. He was like 13, big old kid, and he got on a ride and he got killed on the ride. Well, I come across that video. Somebody was actually filming it, and yeah, it's like, and it was so weird, bro, because it was one of those rides that fucking shoot you down, and you seen him slide right out of it, bam, and hit the concrete. Yeah, it was bad.
And you saw that? How old is this video?
It's within a couple of years old. It's fairly recent.
Oh shit! There was I heard a story about. I think it was some guy who was I think he had his legs, but they were amputated at the knees, both of them. His legs were amputated at the knees. Now I think he was he might have been a war veteran, I think. And he got on. There was a ride. I don't know what park it was. I think it was it might have been a Universal ride, Universal Studios in Florida. And the way this ride is set up is you're laying on your stomach, and you're I guess you're kind of paragliding. You know, like you're laying on your stomach, and the ride just goes forward and it sends you around. But this guy who is amputated at the knees, both legs amputated at the knees, he gets on this ride, and I don't know why the staff had allowed this to happen, because the only way that you're going to stay in the ride is with the rest of your legs intact.
Right.
So without those you're going to slide right out.
Right.
I'm having trouble.
It's kind of negligence on the staff's behalf, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm trying to picture it right now. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up later. But either way, all I know is he got in the ride. They said, yeah, go ahead and get in the ride. His family's right there. His friends right there. Get in the ride. He gets in the ride. And nobody stops him. Nobody stops to think, maybe because of his situation, he's not going to be able to stay in the seat.
Right.
And he goes on the ride and slips out and falls, and it's lights out for him.
Yeah.
It's all she wrote for that guy.
Damn, yo. That's wild.
Yeah. But I've been on some rides. Roller coasters don't bother me. I mean, well, I'm almost 30, and
Youngster.
yeah, I'm almost 30, and I think right now I can get on a roller coaster and be okay. But I've noticed as I get older, a lot of things upset my stomach.
Yes.
More. I've always, as a kid, I've seen, I get sick on roller coasters, and I was like, no, I feel fine. But when you get older, then for some reason your body is going to
yeah, some shit happens.
yeah, it's gonna start to get annoyed by rides. But right now I think I can ride roller coasters and be okay. But there are some fair rides that I like getting on. I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss because they kill my stomach. It's
Right, one of them killed my fucking brain, dude.
Which one?
The one that you get in and it just fucking spins in circles. Like
No. See, I don't like those. Those I'm talking about the ones that go upside down.
Yeah, fuck all that.
Those I like those.
Wow.
I like those, but they the last time I went on one, I was it was this last October, and I was 28 at the time. I was 28. I went on it. It was and I went on it. That was 2 years after I went on it the first time, and the first time, fun.
Right.
I had a blast. 2 years later, I get on it. So from age 26 to age 28, I get on it, and all of a sudden it's making me sick.
Yeah.
And I made sure I didn't eat anything all day that day. After I was done riding the rides, the girl I was with, she was done riding the rides. We said, okay, that's it. Now we can eat. Because I didn't eat anything that day until we were done with the rides, because I wasn't going to get on. After that, now let's eat. And the food there was good.
Right.
But those rides that spin like that,
Yeah, dude.
fuck those.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you want to feel sicker than you've ever been in your life.
Yeah, get on one of them motherfuckers. Get you.
Fuck that.
Yeah, that ain't worth the shit, bro.
Yeah, man. Tell me about Rotten.com.
Yeah, so Rotten.com, it was like a it was like a gore website that I was getting on when I was 14 years old. So bruh, looking at 1994-ish. And see, back then, this is another thing I want to capitalize on. I'll do this right now. Bro, do you know the internet's fucking free, right? Mm-hmm. The internet's free. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the hell you end up getting charged all this and all that, and they put data caps on you and shit, but back when I was growing up, bro, the internet, accessing the internet cost absolutely nothing.
Really?
Yeah, because you so back then it was like you had dial-up modems, like 14.4, 28.8, 56K was the highest one before they came out with the cable modem. And what it would do is it would use existing phone lines. It was using just unused lines. So you didn't have to pay for internet access back then. what you would have to pay for, like when AOL came out, you'd have to pay for their service or whatever. Like if you want to get email and shit. But dude, I was gaming in 1994 with a friend that lived down the road using I'm not gonna say an app. It wasn't an app, but it was a program that my stepdad created. And yeah, bro. But anyway, so yeah, this Gore website that I was on back in the early '90s. It would show you babies in bottles and like real little fetuses, like that I guess they were aborted or whatever. It would show you like if you could think like animal attacks, like animals slaughtering people. If you could find the most disturbing thing that you could think of, it was on that site. But this was back, like I said, this is back with there was no monitoring on the internet. There was no, oh, are you 18? 18 or over? Click yes. That was it. I got one last story for you, bro. I forgot. This is one I wanted to talk about. When I was lived in Temple, there's an area around Temple. It's called Killeen, Fort Hood. You ever heard of a restaurant called Luby's? Okay. It's like a little restaurant. It's kind of like Piccadilly. So one of my cousins had graduated. So I want to say this is 1994. I want to say either 93 or 94. When my cousins graduated, we went to this restaurant and ate. It was normal, normal shit. Well, the next day, somebody drove a pickup truck through the restaurant and got out and just started shooting people at random. And, that could have been us. But we missed it by a day. But yeah, bro, it was called the Luby's Massacre. You could actually find it online.
The Luby's Massacre.
Yeah. Yep. It was around the same time with that the Branch Davidian shit happened. David Koresh and them. I actually seen that. I actually seen we was going on a field trip, and I seen the remaining, like the teacher was like, "Hey, look out the right to the window. That's the Branch Davidian compound or whatever." And all you could see was smoke coming up.